Next on the agenda is the approval of the regular council meeting minutes for July 22nd. I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the regular council meeting minutes of July 22nd, 2019 as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion that's been properly made by Mr. Gillespie, second by Mr. Mezza. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now on the agenda is the receipt of petitions and correspondence from the public. Ms. Berry, I believe I know we have a couple people.
Yes, we do. Miss Allen?
Sal, if you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, good evening.
And I think you said 5 minutes would be sufficient?
More than enough.
Okay.
I will speak more slowly. Good evening, members of Town Council and Mayor Tidra and staff. I'm Linda Allen. I live at 15 Nancy Street, Front Royal, Virginia. And the subject tonight is Crooked Run West. In a public hearing held by the Board of Supervisors on April 10, 2019, citizen comments were recorded about the desirability or not of changing the proposed Crooked Run West from commercial to residential. There are no citizen comments.
Excuse me, Ms. Allen, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Could you pull your mic a little closer? Great. Please.
That being said to a former teacher. Okay. And this is citizen comments on the Crooked Run West proposal being changed from commercial to residential. There were no citizen comments that were favoring that change. The minutes from the public hearing describe a letter that the Board of Supervisors received from the developer's attorney, which was sent to the town. The letter noted the voluntary agreement between the county and the town to provide water and sewer services to commercial development in the corridor. The letter asked if the governing bodies would agree to amend the agreement to include water and sewer services to residential. The letter also asked if the town had sufficient public water to provide if the property were rezoned to residential. If the water agreement between the county and the town were amended to include residential, it would be a change that no longer restricts the town's obligation to provide water to the corridor for commercial development only. The change would set a precedent. It may not matter, and may not, how restrictively the agreement is written once the change is made. It is a basis for argument in court to expand water and sewer throughout the county. While a comment is made by the developer team that we currently have the water, a report on water done by the Northern Shenandoah Valley Regional Commission, perhaps 5 or more years ago, led the expert reporting to recommend to the town that they start looking for additional sources of water supply. Little, if anything, has been done on this front beyond a few words about McKay Springs, which does not deliver sufficient water to cover possible growth over time that changing water agreement could need. Water is but one issue of many tied up in the proposal, without one scrap of adequate explanation and data for citizens to cover. For example, a serious question would be, what do you suppose the effect on the town would be if the quite ambitious growth plan the county diligently pursued would be? We need to think of the effects or consequences of our possible different decision paths. Another issue is the traffic plan. There is no available plan for the current proposal. The citizens who spoke of the road there and projected traffic volume and access to our major highway are quite clear that it is difficult, even dangerous set of conditions. There's also the matter of proffers. Where are they? Then there is a matter of priorities about VDOT funds. Our taxpayer money is being spent on this development. There's the bone thrown to us, citizens, that workforce housing will be included in this development. Well, let's look together at the formula for increasing rent over time and see if we can conclude that this actually is workforce housing. Note also that A.S. Rhodes Elementary is at capacity, which would indicate that we would have to consider building another elementary school up over the debt service in the county budget. Compare this to the fact that the town has an urban development zone and ample land for development. We have not had that development occur because we have not had the growth which would require our having a larger housing inventory. This is a general area of the new hospital which would become a focal point that could generate demand for housing on town land. The elementary school in the area could accommodate more students. The cost of infrastructure with respect to water and sewer is less. For those who believe that we can make money on Crooked One West as residential, it remains true that residential over time costs us more, while clean, light industry adds to the revenue. It is still a truism that we need to deal with. The cost of construction and the subsequent maintenance of the infrastructure would be less if in town. This just scratches the surface of and some of the questions about Crooked One West proposal. What are you thinking, and what is the county thinking, when it is easy to know by the interim mayor, the developer, and the attorney leaving the town administration building together that something is being worked on about Crooked One West? What we got from the developer at a sales pitch, a sloppy one at that. Please consider the hints herein of deeper issues that citizens need to know. So, what will you do to ensure that appropriate discussion does occur? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sal. Appreciate that.
And Fern Vasquez.
I'm sorry. Mr. who's that?
Oh, Fern Vasquez.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Fern Vasquez. I live at 120 Gloucester Road here in Front Royal. Thank you for the opportunity to address you here briefly this evening. I'm following up with the council members this evening on some requests that I presented to the council last March, in March of 2019. When I brought to your attention that the town of Front Royal does not provide the type of residential electric meter that accounts for the electricity generated by solar panels. I happen to need a roof in the next year or two, and I would really like to put some solar panels on it, but so no meter that would allow me to receive the credits from the electricity generated by solar panels. And this requires the installation of a specific type of meter that allows the meter to run backward at times when power generated by the use of solar panels exceeds the amount of power being used. And customers and consumers who have solar panels installed can benefit by the credit to their electric bills. The electric rates have just risen recently, so now it's even more important, I feel. And also, Warren County actually has this. Town of Front Royal does not. So I'm just wondering if there's been any consideration or anything being done to encourage this. I also submitted a plan created by the Mayor's Vision Committee on growth for the town of Front Royal. I've given a copy to Ms. Berry just for your reference, and I'm wondering whether you all could review this. I think it has some really good suggestions. I happen to feel that growth in our town is a critical issue because we're losing some of our young people. They don't feel like there are the kind of wages around here that would allow them to raise their family. This is what is going to be the future of Front Royal. The third issue is the same one that Ms. Allen presented, and I'll just present it very briefly because I think her speech really spoke for itself. I thought she made really excellent points that everyone needs to seriously consider. I know that you council members within the next couple of months will be making a decision about the approval of water providing water, Town of Front Royal providing water to this project. And I ask you to really seriously consider the financial and environmental implications of this. The Planning Council has also voted this down because they felt like the issues involved would not support a yes vote for this. That the amount of money that we would receive in property taxes is not going to justify the money that we have to put out. That it's not even Steven. So I just ask you to cast your vote for the long-term interests of the citizens of this town and vote no. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. If you could hold on one moment.
Yes.
It's not customary to respond directly, but I just thought it'd be worthwhile. Joe, do you remember anything about the meters or in March, or is there any feedback?
No, actually I don't, but what she's referencing is net metering. By State Corporation Commission, we're not governed, we're not forced to do that, but we are looking into it. We just haven't had a lot of activity on this front. A lot of people haven't went down that road yet, but we are looking at it. What we'll have to do is we'll have to do a cost of service study. We'll have to determine what that rate structure is and what we buy the electricity back and what that cost component is. We're looking at it, but I would have to say that we're probably looking about 12 months before we could roll something out like that, but we are looking into it.
Well, thank you very much, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who's the last speaker, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Ms. Berry. Does anyone else wish to address council? What didn't sign up before? Okay, hearing none, we're going to go to reports of special committees, town officials, and town managers. Mr. Waltz.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I got two items for the citizens tonight. One is I want to remind the citizens that we're still doing water improvement infrastructures up on 14th and Shenandoah. We still have several weeks of work there, but I do want to remind the citizens that once we're all said and done doing all the water improvements up there, we will be paving 14th and North Shenandoah, so please bear with us. Also, I want to remind the citizens that we're still making the transition from conventional recycling to single stream recycling. There are some new rules that do apply, so please bear with us while we continue the education process. There is some new rules, mainly applying to cardboard seems to be the biggest issue. Our vendor that we take the single stream recycling to now requires that all staples and tape be removed from cardboard. This is a change in practice from previous, when before we would take cardboard with the tape and with the staples. So please bear with us as we try to make this a successful operation for the whole community. And last but not least, I'd like to call up Chief Gallus for a presentation.
Mayor, members of council, appreciate you guys giving us a few minutes this evening to welcome a new member of our law enforcement family in the Front Royal this evening. Tonight I have the pleasure of introducing Officer Matthew Erd. He has come to us to patrol the streets of Front Royal and help keep us safe. Officer Erd grew up in New Jersey, began his public service career as a senior in high school, where he was serving as a volunteer firefighter. About a year later, he became an EMT. Went to work for U.S. Customs for a time before returning back to New Jersey, and then pursued the EMT position as a paid EMT for about 3 years. Ended up as the rank of first lieutenant, and serving the fire department with overseeing some of the pre-planning and emergency response for the station. During that time, he earned his associate's degree in criminal justice, at which point he went to work for the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department, serving in the 7th Division, Southeast D.C., so some mean streets that he was on for a little bit, before moving down to Fairfax County PD, where he served in the Fair Oaks Division, and then came to us this year. So we're real happy to have him aboard. He's being joined tonight by his better half. This is Officer Jasmine Stevenson from the Winchester Police Department. So they are a blue couple, and she's going to do the honor of pinning him tonight.
Way to go, bud. Sweet.
As long as she doesn't stay, right?
Yeah, all right. She'll do that later.
Anywhere yet? Did any council members like to say anything? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say you guys congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to echo that as well.
Thank you very much.
Yes, welcome and thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Officer, I just wanted to also thank you. You know, public service, in my opinion, is the greatest type of service. And the men and women in blue, the first responders, you know, anytime you look at a television set, you see a crime scene or whatever, it might be a mass event, you see people running away, and then you see people running towards. And I take that very seriously. I just really wanted to thank you for your service and welcome to town.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Well, the meeting's got to be downhill from there. That was a high point. Let's see, Mr. Waltz, anything else on your agenda?
No, that concludes my report.
That's great. Next is, let's see, we have requests and inquiries of council members. I'm going to ask Ms. Thompson to go first, please.
Last month I was on Facebook and came across a post from a Jamie Beal. I think I said your name right. I'm sorry if I didn't. And it went like this. Yesterday we spent the day on the river for my husband's 42nd birthday. We had our 4 sons with us, ages 8 to 15, and 2 of my oldest son's friends, one being our neighbor, Tammy Jenkins Devers' youngest son, David Devers. This time he was just a few days shy of his 16th birthday. The boys had been walking up the river, floating down to the campsite all morning, and she had even done the same thing. On about the 8th time, her husband noticed the boys hadn't come back in a timely fashion and said something isn't right. About that time, they saw David running through the woods carrying the youngest son, Jordan, in his arms. Baby JJ had started to fall behind the group of boys, and David, being the amazing young man he is, hung behind instead of keeping up with his friends. Jordan had walked on a wasp nest in the ground and was swarmed by bees. David jumped right in and grabbed our son. He was covered in wasps himself and being attacked and never stopped. He not only got him, but knocked the bees off of Jordan and then ran a half mile with him back to camp. His fast actions and selflessness saved my son's life yesterday. We picked over 20 stingers out of Jordan's head, face, and shoulders. David had multiple stings himself, but didn't even want me to look at those. He just cared about Jordan. My family is so grateful. I don't know many 15-year-olds who would have acted the same. We owe so much to him. I just want him to be recognized for the amazing young man he is and the selfless act he did. Thank you so much, Tammy, for letting David go. And once again, you're raising the best kids ever. I don't know what I would ever do, but from my family to yours, we love y'all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just thought it was a really great story, and I don't know any 15-year-old boys who really know what to do. So we wanted to take a moment just to honor you and what you did that day. So if you wanted to come up.
Yeah, please come on.
Get her done, bud.
Now, which one's JJ or Jordan? Jordan?
Yeah, sitting right there.
Thank you. We have your certificate. And it's a hero award, right?
Yeah, it is.
So, you know, we just celebrated the pinning on of an officer a few moments ago, right? But heroes don't have to wear blue all the time. So we want to thank you. Thank you for your service and willingness to help a younger fellow, Jordan.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good job, buddy. Good job, buddy.
Well, I was wrong. It did get better. Okay, Ms. Thompson, is there anything else you'd like to address council with?
No.
Okay, is there any other reports from Mr. T-Walt?
Yes, this evening I'd like to announce that my name will be on the ballot for mayor on November the 5th. And I appreciate anyone, if they got any questions they want to ask me. My phone number is 635-8227. I do have a landline. And if anybody needs anything or wants anything for me to explain to them, I'll be more than glad and happy to meet with you and talk to you about any issue the town may have. So I would like to ask you to vote for me on November the 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. T-Walt. Any other members of council? All right, next on the agenda is the interim mayor report. A couple things I wanted to bring up. I had a meeting with a group of individuals regarding the Afton Inn. We have not lost sight or focus on that building. It is a high priority for council, and I'm optimistic that in the next month or two we're going to be able to present something to council, hopefully with some direction as far as getting that building moving again. It's been a very frustrating experience considering the status of affairs with the EDA, but the town council is committed to seeing that project moving forward. There was also comments regarding Crooked Run tonight. I debated whether to respond to some of those during the presentation. It was probably best to wait. Council is in the process of gathering information, and it's important, I believe, to gather facts. We have not made any decisions as it relates to Crooked Run West. I, for one, believe in treating people the way I want to be treated. And we have a business entity that has come to the town of Front Royal and has come to the county of Warren and has asked to conduct business in Warren County and Front Royal, respectively. And I want to honor that business. I want to thank them for their willingness to come here and show them the proper time and respect and do our diligence and properly gather facts from them. We've asked them a lot of questions. There's been some slight changes here now. They're not at a point where they're ready to present more information to the public. I know they've been very willing to communicate with the public. They've had many private meetings with groups and individuals. They've talked to council members publicly and privately. But we're in the process of gathering facts. And again, as soon as we're prepared to present the facts to the public, I know without a doubt we're anxious to do that and get that off our agenda and move forward one way or the other, up or down. So that's all I have for my report. Are there any proposals for addition or deletions to the agenda? Ms. Berry, I don't need to vote on it, do I?
No, sir, you do not.
Thank you. Okay, consent agenda items. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. Does anyone require item to pull it off?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
Okay.
Joe, back on February, I believe of this year, on the 25th, we appropriated $42,230 per cable. Is this in addition to what has already been spent for this project?
Yes, that's correct. This is an additional cable purchase for power in the hospital.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Any further questions, Mr. Gillespie? Is that covered? Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion properly made by Mr. Gillespie, seconded by Mr. Holloway. Ms. Berry, roll call, please.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Holloway?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Seelock?
Yes.
Councilman T-Wall?
Yes.
And Councilman Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is a public hearing. Ordinance to amend Chapter 419 pertaining to the order of business and placement and approval of items on the agenda. Ms. Berry, is there anyone?
There were no speakers signed up this evening.
No speakers. Okay, I got to open the public hearing. Does anyone wish to speak regarding the public hearing? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Any members of council wish to comment on the item? And we're going to have a second reading, correct, Ms. Berry?
Correct.
I move that council affirm its first reading an ordinance to amend and reenact Front Royal Town Code Chapter 4-19 pertaining to the order of business for town council meetings and the placement of items on the council agendas as presented.
Okay, there's been a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Thompson made a motion. Mr. T-Walt seconded the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is the council approval for a deed of easement for sanitary sewer from school board near Warren County Middle School on Heritage Drive.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council approve a 20-foot deed of easement on sanitary sewer utilities for the Warren County School Board near Warren County Middle School located on Heritage Drive as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion properly made by Mr. T-Walt, seconded by Mr. Seelock. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Last on the agenda is the closed session regarding specific legal matters. I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council convene and go into a closed meeting for consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters, specifications for the town EDA lawsuit requiring provisions of legal advice by such counsel pursuant to section 2.2-3711.8.8 of the Code of Virginia.
Okay, there's been a motion properly made by Mr. Holloway, seconded by Mr. T-Walt. Any discussion? One thing I am going to say, there's been, I had a citizen approach me recently regarding executive sessions. And I just wanted the public to know there's some very specific times and moments when we're required to go into executive session. And consultation with legal counsel is just one of those times. As we know, there's a lot going on with the EDA. We don't take it cavalier to go to these executive session meetings. We're going to try to limit the time that we're in the meeting. We do plan to come back out and have a work session. There's several items on the agenda, so hopefully we can get through the executive session as quickly as possible. Okay, all those in favor of going to executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're in executive session. Thank you.